Hey friends, welcome back. Today we are making something like Grand Soir from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is a fragrance that was released in 2016. It's a vanilla amber fragrance, very sweet. I have smelled the original before. I have not made this formula before. This is my first batch. And I got this from Reddit, found it off of Reddit. So we're going to take it with a grain of salt. But I'm looking forward to putting this together. Given the ingredients that are in here and the amounts of some of the ingredients, rather than making a whole bunch of brand new 1% concentration dilutions or 1% dilutions, I decided to just up the batch size. So today I'm going to be making just over 40 grams of juice. It'll be at a roughly 23% concentration, and then I'm going to bottle it. I'll bottle it, I'll test it out, I will wear it. Looking at the structure of this fragrance, most of this is in Isoe Super and Ethylene Brassylate. There's only a little bit of Hedione in here, and by a little I mean 5-6%. But there is a lot of Ethylene Brassylate and Isoe Super. There's a fair bit of vanillin, Ethyl Vanillin, other sweet materials. 10% of this juice is Ethyl Vanillin. And 10% of the concentrate, I should clarify. So we've got some very sweet notes. We've also got plenty of Galaxolide. So, not all the sweetness is coming from vanillin. We have it coming from the musks as well. Let's get started with this. What I would like to do is start off with the dry materials. I'm going to take the recommendations. I'm going to measure these in different beakers, so just in case I happen to overdose, and we'll go from there. So we're probably going to start with the neat materials, and then we'll get to the diluted materials. But we're going to start with our Ambroxan. Now again, I am using Orkanox, supplied from Freighterworks. I'm using this rather than the Ambroxan I have because this was easier to get to. It's the only reason. Okay, so we want about just over half of a gram. Let's see what happens. This is my first material. I already overdid it a little bit. That's okay. This is why I'm going to put this in separate beakers. Okay. That'll do. Okay. One down. Next up, Ethyl Vanillin. More Ethyl Vanillin than there is Ambrox. Almost a full gram, at least in this formula. Perfect amount. Perfect. Okay. Swap these out, add them together. Looks like I'm going to have to put a little alcohol in here, so to get out the remaining powder. Let's take care of some of this perfumer's alcohol right now, just so I can clean this out. By the end of this formula, I'm going to be adding 10 grams of perfumer's alcohol. So let's start with 3. Start with 3 right now. Good. It's nice and dissolved. We'll swap this out. And I'll just have to make note. I already have 3 grams of perfumer's alcohol in here. Okay. Good. Let's keep adding the neat materials, the base materials. I've got Galaxolide, Hedione, and Ethylene Brassylate. I got neat Patchouli, but I'm going to wait on the Patchouli because we're going to add the other amber materials next. Okay, so let's just get started with our ISOE Super. I'm using plain old ISOE Super, not Timber Silk, not Cedramber, just ISOE Super. Was close. Need one more draw. There we go. When I first got ISOE Super, I couldn't smell it. I could not smell it, but now I can. It's a I wouldn't even call it a woody material to my nose. It's more like to me, it's more of a sandalwood material. It's ambery. Yeah, you could say it's woody, but there's a sweetness to it that I really, really love. Next up, Galaxolide 50 and Ethylene Brassylate. Almost equal parts, Galaxolide 50 and Ethylene Brassylate. Let's start with the Galaxolide. Good. Next up, Ethylene Brassylate, or musk tea. Okay. Ethylene Brassylate, from what I've read, is another musk that some people have problems smelling, at least at first. And then I guess over time, perhaps your nose just figures out what it is it's trying to smell. Maybe you just adapt, but it does become easier to smell over time. At least that's what I've read. For me, I can't remember the inability to smell Ethylene Brassylate. I do remember the inability to smell musk ketone, however. Okay. Let's do our Hediones. I've got essentially a 75-25 ratio of Hedione to Hedione HC. I'm going to start with the Hedione HC, which is already projecting pretty hard. Hedione was another material I could not smell when I first started this. Way back in, what was it, September of 2021, I think is when my first materials arrived. First raw materials, and I could not smell Hedione. I could smell what Hedione did to the other materials I was adding it to. I could smell that, could smell the effect, but Hedione per se, could not smell. Hedione itself, I could not smell. And at this point, not only can I smell Hedione HC, which is incredibly strong, but I can actually smell Hedione, normal Hedione. Just a couple more drops. Okay. Okay. This might take some time to dissolve, which is okay. Hedione is a great solvent, by the way. So let's continue. Let's continue with our amber materials. I'm going to start with the Norlimbanol. It's a fair bit of Norlimbanol in here. 1% of the concentrate is Norlimbanol. And if you know Norlimbanol, then you know it's a strong material. It's dry, ambery, woody. It projects. And I also think I need to make a new dilution. Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break the rules. Do I break the rules? Yeah, I'm going to break the rules. What I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my formula. So I've got in 2/3 of, I have 2/3 of my desired Norlimbanol. Let's do some math. So Norlimbanol, the molecule, there's a cis isomer and a trans isomer. Whatever is the desired isomer or the stronger isomer, Norlimbanol has about 95% of that isomer. Karmawood, a corollary or a sister, product to Norlimbanol, has 65%. So if I do some quick math, I'm gonna dial down the Norlimbanol. I'm going to add some Karmawood such that that cis isomer, whatever that desirable isomer is roughly the same. Okay, I've got it. Now let's find our Karmawood. Okay, Karmawood. I recently got Timberol. Timberol is yet another sister product for Norlimbanol and Karmawood, but that desirable isomer is even, I shouldn't say desirable, that strong isomer is even lower. So Timberol is more smooth, delicate than Norlimbanol is. So let's add some Karmawood. If you can tell, or if you can't tell, I'm just kind of winging it. I don't mind winging it. I do not mind at all. Especially with a vanilla ambery fragrance in which I'm putting amber materials. Whatever. What I will do, however, is in the show notes, I will post the formula as I found it on Reddit. I'm going to think about that as I go through this. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll post the formula I do. It depends on how good this smells. If it smells really good, I'll just give you this formula. If it smells hit or miss, I'll put in the Reddit formula. I also have a formula. Oh, now we're moving on to cedromethyl ether, or Cedramber from IFF. Almost 3% of the juice is Cedramber. And Cedramber is very nice, woody, ambery. It's also dry. All of these have like a dryness to my nose. But yeah, it's a very, very ambergris-like note. I was saying I also have a formula for Grand Soir from Creative Formulas. I haven't put it together yet. I haven't even looked at it. Ashamed. I'm ashamed. One reason is I like to make videos. But the videos that I make, I won't use a purchased formula. It's not fair for me to just give away formulas. Maybe one of these days I will do a formula that I purchase, but I just won't publish what that formula is, but we'll still go through the materials and talk about it. May do that. But since I like doing these videos and sharing the formulas, I keep trying to find formulas that are freely available because someone out there paid for and executed a GCMS analysis, put together a formula, and shared it. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, because your generosity helps everyone. Next up, Labdanum Absolute. Just a little bit of Labdanum. Interesting, isn't it, that we have an amber, a vanilla amber fragrance, and the balsamic / resinous, Labdanum material is so small. 0.1% of the juice is Labdanum Absolute. I'm sorry, I should be clear. 0.1% of the concentrate is Labdanum Absolute. Have any of you used or purchased a formula from Creative Formulas? I'm interested to know. For a while, I thought I was having hit or miss experience with Creative Formulas. Then I just came to terms with the fact that if I'm going to sub out a lot of materials, I'm not going to get the end product. Because when I first started purchasing them, I didn't have the wall of glory back here. So as I have acquired more materials and stayed more true to the formula, I have noticed an increase in quality of output. Ain't that funny? Ain't that funny? A while ago, I put together Danger Parfum Cologne. Again, a formula purchased by Creative Formulas based on, I think his name's Felipe's GCMS analysis. And when I was finished, I was disappointed. I'm like, it's close, but no cigar. And by close, I'm at like 95%, Well, I let it age, I let it chill out for a few months. And I whipped it out a couple days ago. And I changed my mind. It's very good. It was very good. Per usual, my cumin dose was a little high because I guess I have like amplified cumin. But the rest of it was glory. Absolute. It was amazing. And I've had good experiences. The first formula I actually made was a Guerlain vetiver formula. And those... Where's my pen? Those substitutions that I made there were actually very good. It was serendipitous. It was like a Guerlain vetiver, but a little sweeter. And I love it. I think I'm going to make more of it. And I'm definitely going to make more of it and do some testing because it was amazing. All right. Base. Let it chill. And let's keep moving on. We have woody materials. I'm thinking we should just keep going with the sweet, musky materials. For us, that's a big category. We have two musks. We have benzoin. We have sandalwood, coumarin, tonka, bicyclononalactone, and vanillin, and then Treemoss. I think we bunch all those together. Let me make sure we don't have any others. I'm very jumbled up here. It's very busy up here. Yeah, I have a whole segment of stuff I don't know what to do with, but we'll get there. What is this? That's aromatic. That's going to be green. Okay, cinnamon. All right, let's start with vanillin. And that's throwing. That's, I'm going to need to turn on my air purifier a little bit more. Okay, what do I have? I have vanillin. Okay, let's do this. Wonderful. We're also going to know by the end of this, did they add coloring to Grand Soir? Because it's a very dark, rich, ambery color. Do you think that's natural? I have my doubts, but we will see. Next, let's add. Here it is. Gamma undecalactone. colloquially known as aldehyde C14, though it's not an aldehyde. It's a beautiful, peachy, lactonic, meaning creamy, milky, creamy, sweet smell. This is great. If you're just starting in perfumery, aldehyde C14 is required. It's required. Okay, it's not required, but it is highly recommended. That one and gamma-nonalactone, or aldehyde C18. I have aldehyde C16, or strawberry aldehyde, so-called. I never use it. It's never in any formulas that I find. I have not used it to test, tested with it, but so maybe save your money on aldehyde C16. It's a more rare ingredient. Okay, next up, octahydrocoumarin, or bicyclononalactone. It's a lot like coumarin, but it's got that lactonic, in other words, milky, creamy, kind of fatty vibe to it. And you can use bicyclononalactone. Way more than that. You can use bicyclononalactone when you're reaching your coumarin limits, coumarin IFRA limits. So you still get that coumarin feel. I am measuring this poorly. So you still get the coumarin feel, but you can maintain compliance with our IFRA overlords. Let's do our other coumarin-like materials. We have coumarin, believe it or not, coumarin. Okay. One more pull. And last on the coumarin-like materials is tonka bean absolute, which contains, you guessed it, coumarin. If you're just getting started and you have to choose between coumarin or tonka bean absolute, I wouldn't bother with the tonka bean absolute. But if you have to substitute coumarin in for tonka bean absolute, adjust the dosage. Tonka bean absolute it's not entirely coumarin, right? So you can't do a one-for-one swap. So dial back the coumarin a little bit, and the swap I think will work fine. Okay, you see, there's a few other materials that I have in the kind of fruity area, and one of them is heliotropin. I'm going to leave it. We're going to leave heliotropin into the more fruity section. That's okay. Next up, I tell you what, it's strong. Maybe I should have waited for the Hedione until last. I can already smell it coming out of here. Benzoin Siam. Let me make sure this is diluted. I just made a new dilution. Okay. Benzoin Siam. This is the botanical name is Styrax tonkinensis. It's different than Benzoin Sumatra, which is Styrax benzoin. It's a different plant, hence the different what do you call it? Biology name? Can a biologist say, what do you call that Latin thing? That Latin name that every plant has. Benzoin Siam is, to my nose, more vanillic, more chocolatey. Benzoin Sumatra, if I remember correctly, it's been a minute since I've reviewed these materials. I think Benzoin Sumatra is smokier or woodier. I'm gonna have to double check. Oh, perfect. I almost overdid that, which is not so bad with such a beautiful material like Benzoin Siam. Not terrible if I overdid it. Okay, got 4 more materials. We're going to do 2 musks and 2 a Treemoss and Bacdanol. Let's do our Treemoss. Okay, Treemoss is a Robertet product. It's a mixture, it's a blend. If you don't have Treemoss, don't worry about it. Maybe just pick up some Verimoss, you know. Again, it's not a 1-for-1, definitely not a 1-for-1, but you can't have everything. So there are also some happy accidents where you substitute in a material and you find that it works really well. So who knows, maybe Verimoss is a completely adequate replacement for Treemoss. Let's do our Bacdanol. So right now I'm sniffing Bacdanol. I've got 4 scent strips over here: polysantol, ebonol, Bacdanol, and javanol. And I'm doing my daily, you know, smell evaluations, writing down notes, etc. These ones are hard. They smell very similar. The javanol is a bit easier to figure out because it's got a rose note to it. Bacdanol, ebonol, polysantol is tough. Plus, maybe that means they're just interchangeable. They're very interchangeable. But the catch is, once I smell one of them, I have a hard time smelling the others. It's like I have to give it 5 minutes and then come back and try smelling again. As if smelling one plugs up my nose and turns off the receptors such that I cannot smell the other ones. So it's very frustrating to try to understand what the differences are while having to smell one, wait a few minutes, come back, smell another, wait a few minutes, come back. But all of the Bacdanol, ebonol, polysantol, I'm sure if I added Santolif, Sangenol, and those, you know, you just add them to the list, that they all smell. They all have a similarity. They're creamy, they're sandalwoody, they're soft, they're smooth and elegant. They're amazing materials, absolutely amazing. Okay, Scentolide. Scentolide, also known as isoambretolide, or it's another form of ambretolide. Again, the molecule that's in ambretolide, there's isomers. Here's the molecule, but it flips over this way. It's the same molecule, it's just a mirror image of it. And funny enough, they smell different. So Scentolide from Cinerome is just another ambretolide product, but different ratio of isomers. This is the first time I'm blending a fragrance where I feel like I'm getting smoked out, so to speak. Whew. It's just so strong. It's so strong coming out of this. Yeah, it's very strong. We've got one more to add. We have Zenolide. I think this is also called Musk C14. I don't know why. Maybe there's 14 carbons in this musk. Otherwise known as ethylene dodecanoate. All right. Not much in here. Not much at all. Just a splash. Yeah, okay. Okay, we are going to swirl. We are going to dip. We're going to put our remaining sweets. That's number 2. Okay. Let's smell the base. Yeah, it's nice. Remember, this is our Ethylene Brassylate, Galaxolide, Isoe Super, and Hedione. I think just as a and our Orchinox Ethyl Vanillin. You know, as a standalone, you could probably just use this as a nice base, perfume base. Maybe, you know, maybe put some bergamot in it or something. This needs time, but I can already smell the coumarin coming off of this. Let's continue with our woody notes, and then we'll dip again. There's only 3. Now we have patchouli, Guaiacwood, and cypriol. And recently I have discovered what Guaiacwood, guaiacol, guaial acetate, valspice, 4-vinyl guaiacol, whatever, any of the guaiac molecules, materials. I guess we'll get there in a second. We're going to start with patchouli, dark. Again, one of my favorite materials. This particular neat patchouli dark is from Liberty Natural, a supplier that is growing on me. This patchouli is very rich. Yeah. There's a creaminess to it, a smoothness to it that is lovely. I'm gonna have to leave this in the bottle because there's a lot still in that pipette. It's very thick. Next up, let's do our Guaiacwood. I'm using Guaiac Heart from Robertet. It smells very close to Guaiacwood. It's just a bit smoother, more elegant or refined, you could say. What I've learned is that in vanilla, in sweet fragrances, this smoky umami that Guaiacwood adds, or cade oil, or birch tar, or rum ether, that smokiness really warms up your vanillin. It gives it a bit more depth, warmth. Again, umami, I think, is a good way of putting it. It is so subtle, and yet it makes all the difference. Come on. And remember, every fragrance has that kind of dirty note to make it work. This fragrance has another dirty note, but I think that cade, birch tar, Guaiacwood, rum ether, those smoky notes, that definitely qualifies as a dirty note. It smells like charred wood, you know, or smoked bacon. Then I think it counts. Next up, cypriol. I should be using cypriol Heart, again from Robertet, but I'm not. I'm using this. The reason being, cypriol Heart to my nose has a real vetiver vibe to it. And I don't know how appropriate that would be. They are different materials. They're same at the core, but they are different. And I feel like I need to do more testing with them. Need to do more testing, but I guess that feeling is never going to change. I'm going to need to do more testing for the rest of my life. Okay, here we had our patchouli, Guaiac, and cypriol, and we will dip. Oh, let me swirl. Make sure you're all swirled. All right, we're going to dip. Good. I'm going to go back and smell the full base with adding the vanillas, the coumarin notes. And that's nice. Again, the addition of coumarin adds a certain kind of wetness. Sounds terrible. Dampness isn't right. It's like I want to say liquidity, but that's a finance term, right? It adds an aquatic kind of wetness to a fragrance, to your base, which I really enjoy. Okay, we have a few more groups that we're going to do. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in here. Next, I would like to add fruity notes. Let's do it. we're going to start with, ethyl acetate. Did I classify this correctly? Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to call this fruity. Ethyl acetate. This stuff is strong. It's ethereal in that feeling it gets in your nose. It's more of a top note. Doesn't last long on a strip. And I think it really aids in projection, helping a fragrance throw off your skin, pop off your skin. Don't need much. There was 2.5 drops in here. Remember, we're making 40 gram. We're making a 40 gram sample, and what I put in here was 0.03 grams. Not much. Okay. Next up, ethyl octanoate or ethyl caprylate. Oh yeah, apple, pineapple. I definitely get a pineapple vibe here. Also kind of a top note. We have, okay, had to make an adjustment here. Yeah, almost 0.5% of the concentrate is in this fruity apple pineapple note. Good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, next up, beta damascone. Beta damascone. Also strong. I get very ripe apple, very ripe plum with beta damascone. Okay, 3.5 drops. I'll do it. Let's keep on trucking. Next up, let's add our allyl amyl glycolate, otherwise known, this is from IFF, otherwise known as isogalbanate from Simrise. To me, it's also got a pineapple, is it rind? What do you call that outer skin of a pineapple? It's pineapple-y, but not sweet pineapple. It is on the green side. I would say a good analogy is when you're eating a watermelon and you get to that green part, you get to the rind, it's still watermelon, but it's not sweet, right? It's a different aspect of watermelon. For here, the allyl amyl glycolate, at least compared to ethyl octanoate, 2 aspects of pineapple. To my nose, take it with a grain of salt. Your nose may be different. Next up, heliotropin. All right, where are you, heliotropin? Here we go. Okay, not much heliotropin. Not even 0.1% is in the concentrate. Okay. We are going to dip. We're going to call this fruit. This is number 4. Let's give a swirl. Okay, and then we'll do a dip. All right. We'll let these sit. We've got a few more. I've got a few more. Let's add in our floral notes. Now these floral notes are kind of, we call it all-encompassing. We have a violet note in isoraldine or methylionone. We have a lily of the valley note via hydroxycitronellal. We have some ethyl linalool, which is kind of a bridge into our aromatic notes, which we'll get to next. Then we have 2 other pieces. I adjusted the formula I found on Reddit. There were a bunch of materials like linalool acetate, linalool, which are common, but the relationships they had to each other, along with a whole bunch of small amounts of geranyl acetate, nerol acetate. There was alpha-pinene, alpha-betaine, terpineol alpha. There was probably one or two other things. Doing some analysis, I figured, why don't I replace a lot of these with Petitgrain Bigarade, I actually don't know how to say that word. Petitgrain. I replaced a good portion with Petitgrain, and then the citronellal, geranyl, phenylethyl alcohol. Those materials I replaced with Rose Absolute from Bulgaria. So I'm going to be using those materials in place of a lot of those trace materials. The Petitgrain, depending on what GCMS you're looking at, the ratio is almost perfect of looking at linalool acetate, linalool, it's going to skip out on me, the pinene, the geranyl acetate. It was almost a perfect, absolutely perfect. So we're going to see how it goes. But let's start with isorouting 95 or N-methylenone. Come on. There's just a splash of this, maybe 2 drops. Yeah. Yeah. And let's do our Hydroxycitronellal next. Oh yeah, wonderful lily of the valley material. Absolutely wonderful. Also lasts a very long time on a scent strip. It's a pretty thick, pretty heavy material. Not heavy in the nose, so to speak. Doesn't smell heavy. It smells light, airy, effervescent, bright. It's uplifting. Okay. Let's do our Ethyl Linalool, though I am tempted to move it into the aromatic section, but whatever. Okay, where are you at? Good. Almost 1.5% of the concentrate is in Ethyl Linalool. Okay, let's do our Rose Absolute. Not much Rose Absolute. And thank God for that. This is expensive. Yeah, this is expensive. It's funny. When you smell Rose Absolute, real Rose Absolute, it almost smells less like a real rose than the rose reconstitutions that are available from, Givaudan and Firmenich. It's interesting. Look at that color. Ooh. Oh, need a little more. Okay, I will do it. Do it. Come on. All right. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. One more Petitgrain. Now, I was worried initially of like, well, should I replace this? If I want it to be elegant and smooth, maybe I should do neroli, because neroli smells a lot like Petitgrain after 2 to 4 hours on a strip. At least if you dilute it. I did some testing yesterday. They smell very similar, but Petitgrain, I guess I just wanted to trust the ratios, the relationship of linalool acetate, linalool, all the other materials. But there's 3 grams of this 10% diluted Petitgrain. And I forgot to tare. So I've got to do some math in my head on the fly. Yep, just fine. We are good. Okay. Let's Get another strip. Florals, number 5. Give it a swirl. Give it a dip. This color is coming along. Okay, let it sit. Next up, we have our aromatics. And I'm going to throw cinnamon leaf into our aromatics because I will throw cinnamon leaf with our, well, let's see how much is in there. Cinnamon. Nah, I'll put it with the aromatics. That's fine. First up, okay, I did not have 3-octanoate or ethyl amyl ketone. Didn't have that. I've never smelled 3-octanoate before, but I do have 2-octanoate, methyl hexyl ketone. The scent description is not completely the same. So this is a shot in the dark. Luckily, there's 1 drop of this in here. So I don't think this is going to be a complete game changer and ruin. This is going to ruin Grand Soir. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but it is a replacement. Next up, let's do our Triplal and cis-3-hexenyl salicylate. We'll start with our Triplal, wonderful green material. Triplal has a nice, calm galbanum vibe to it, at least at a 1% dilution. It's some strong stuff. Next up, cis-3-hexenyl salicylate. Whew, what a material. Love salicylates. And I love the cis-3-hexenyl spin on salicylates here. It's awesome. Absolutely wonderful. Overdosed that by a touch. Got 4 more. Lavandin. Yeah. There it is, Lavandin. Got our Lavandin. We are hustling. Next up, Dihydromyrcenol. Interesting that when I smelled Grand Soir in the past, I don't remember smelling dihydromyrcenol in it. And I know that you don't need to always smell every material. I mean, that's kind of the point of accords and perfumery, right? Sometimes materials contribute to the performance or the effect of the fragrance without necessarily triggering in your mind certain scent memories. Like, oh, that's that 90s men's freshie I remember having. Oh, that's the sport fragrance I wore to gym class when I was in middle school. It can serve a different purpose. Next up is linalool oxide. This is in trace amounts. And try as I might, I couldn't figure out maybe where this came from. In such small amounts, looking through patents and seeing how fragrances are constructed, at least when they secretly stash these formulas into patents, you never see trace amounts of linalool oxide in the formula. This probably came from a natural material. Probably. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but probably. So I just don't know which one. Yeah, this is only like half a drop, so I probably could have left it out. We're doing one more. That's our cinnamon leaf. A viewer recently posted that he or she put together accords based on GCMS analysis, and cinnamon leaf actually has more eugenol than cinnamon, cinnamon bark. Am I thinking of clove? Oh boy, now I've got to double check. Now I'm losing my mind. Okay, cinnamon leaf. Okay. Comments like what I just said about cinnamon leaf and eugenol reminds me that my memory is not always fantastic. So I have to work very hard to remember things correctly and keep it in my mind correctly. Okay. So this is number 6. We're going to call this aromatic. Number 6. Now we're going to do 3 more. Top notes. Then we have a special secret note I've never used before. I'm so excited to see when I put it in if I can smell it. And then we have our animal note, our dirty note. Let's start with the top, however, okay? We are going to start with Maritima. First, I bought this just so I could put this together. And I haven't even tested this yet. I don't know what this smells like. The Good Sense Company says it's powerful, clean, wet, fresh air tone reminiscent of ocean breezes. Ooh. Excellent performer in many media. Nice. I got this stuff from the wonderful harrisonjoseph.com/UK. All right, Maritima, welcome to the family. You've officially been used for the first time. Still don't know what it smells like. I didn't smell it. Wasn't able to smell it. All right, next up, yellow mandarin. Good stuff. It's like orange. It's a lot like orange. It's like halfway between orange and lemon. Okay, there it is. Next up, Methyl Pamplemousse, or Ambrosite. It's a single molecule that is a grapefruit note. Oh, I've got to make more. I do not have enough. Dang. Okay. Pause. Okay. Not only do I not have much in my 10 milliliter amber bottle, I don't have much in this 4 milliliter Perfumer's Apprentice vial. Luckily, I have another 250 grams in the fridge. I just haven't broken into it yet. Let's see, how much should we put in here? Looks like we're going to get to, yeah, we'll add 7. Okay. Add this back. It's just like nothing ever happened. But I do need to update Methyl Pamplemousse to... Wow, I hadn't made a new dilution since September of 2021. That was the original dilution. I just finally made it through. Tells you how much Methyl Pamplemousse I've used. At least in its diluted format. All right, we have our dilution. Let me tear, and here we go. Okay, solid. Methyl Pamplemousse is absolutely amazing. There is another material called Pamplafluor, which is like methyl pamplemousse, but it's more of a base note. It lasts a lot longer on a strip. And I've yet to pair them together, but I wonder if they will pair together nicely and create just a long-term grapefruit note. Grapefruit is a little tougher to use. First, there's a photosensitization issue with the material. And second, just a little dirtier. You know, there's just more to it, to real grapefruit than there is to methyl pamplemousse. So methyl pamplemousse is fantastic for just a quick and easy grapefruit. All right, sweet orange from Brazil. A little more aldehydic than the sweet orange I have from the USA. Okay. Running out of room over here. Okay. I'm excited. We have two more materials. Oh, I got to swirl. Two more materials. I got to add in my ethanol. Remember, this was the top, and then we're going to do all of our smelling at the end. Okay. Okay. At Harrison Joseph, I also picked up 2-acetyl pyrazine. I don't have any experience with pyrazines, with thiazoles, with furanols, none. And this one is awesome. This is a 0.1% dilution. And this, getting my nose even close, kicks me in the face with popcorn. It's pure popcorn. It's one molecule and it smells exactly like popcorn. It's really exciting. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm very excited about this. I purchased this specifically so I could make this formula because looking around, I didn't see that I had any materials that smelled like popcorn. That could be a possible replacement. So I figured, yeah, I better just buy this stuff. Okay. So we are going to just add that in. We added it in, and now, oh boy, that's strong. It is so strong. We're gonna dip, I'm gonna label, and I'm interested to see, can I tell? Can I tell? We're gonna put popcorn here. Number 8. And then last but not least, the animal note, the dirty note, the bad note. What do you think it is? Do you think it's indole? Do you think it's civet? Do you think it's deer musk, that dirty deer musk? No. Body odor. It's cumin. It is cumin. Let's see where you are. Cumin. All right, cumin. 0.006% of the concentrate is cumin. And I've got strong cumin, so I'm actually going to dial this back. I'm supposed to have in this formula at a 1% concentrate, 0.06. I'm going to err on the light side. See what happens. 0.054. I'm going to stop there because my cumin just tends to overdo it. Okay. Okay. Let's dip. I'm going to put final on here. All right, let's evaluate. Base. This was just the Neat Musks, Isoi Super, Hedione. Yeah, and this is just a super simple, smells pretty good base. Remember, there's also the Ambroxan and the Ethyl Vanillin in here. And I think that combination is great. Hedione, Isoe Super, some musk, Ambroxan, Ethyl Vanillin. You've got a nice base to start with. You got a very nice base. Then we added in all the other sweet materials that included the Benzoin Siam, Ethyl Vanillin. We had gamma undecalactone, or peach, tonka bean, and coumarin, bicyclononalactone. Yeah, wonderful. It sweetens it up a little bit. It brightens it a little bit. The coumarin helps brighten. It definitely helps brighten that base. Next, we added the cypriol, the Guaiacwood, and the patchouli. Interesting, and you can smell the patchouli. The patchouli is noticeable. Cypriol, barely. You get that watery leatheriness from the cypriol, but it's so delicate. And I'm not yet getting the umami from the Guaiacwood. Maybe that'll come through later. Next up, we added our fruit notes. And that's subtle. The Damascone beta is the most prevalent. But you do notice, okay, we've just added a little bit of fruit into our formula. Next up, we added the floral materials. Now, this includes the Petitgrain, which could kind of go citrus, kind of go floral, but we did add our rose, the linalool, no, not the linalool oxide, that was a little bit later, the Hydroxycitronellal, and the isoraldine 95. Wow. Wow, that Petitgrain is no joke. In that, you can tell it's Petitgrain, but Petitgrain, to me, has a dirtier through line underneath. You have this beautiful top. It's like neroli on top, but you got something sitting underneath. It's like woody. It's just a little off. You don't get the off notes. Yeah, Petitgrain was the right choice. I'm glad I did Petitgrain and not neroli. We could stop here and this would smell good. This would be great. But let's add the aromatics. Ooh, the salicylates. Ooh, give it a creaminess, a blend. It blends it all together. The cis-3-hexenyl salicylate. The dihydromyrcenol is there, ever so slightly, giving it a little flick. Ooh, that's nice. We add our top notes. Ah, this adds another wonderful dimension. It is so subtle though. It's not like you smell lemon or bergamot up top, but it lightens it up. It lightens it and lifts it. And this smells so good. This smells so good. Okay. Don't want my nose to get burnt out. We've got two more. Popcorn. Can I smell the popcorn? Let's see. Ugh. I think I'm an idiot. I didn't dip the popcorn. All right, whatever. Let's go to the final one, popcorn and cumin. Yeah, you smell the popcorn. Hands down, you smell the popcorn. Wow. That is a strong material. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's amazing. The cumin is very, very subtle. I am impressed by what that popcorn does. Okay. Okay, I am going to add in the remaining 7 grams of alcohol, of perfumer's alcohol. I'm going to add in some Solgard for some sunscreen. Then I'm going to bottle this. Need a new pipette. Now, does this smell like Grand Soir? I can't remember. I cannot remember. I know this smells amazing. Absolutely amazing. It smells very, very good. And I'm excited to see what it smells like in a month, 2 months, when it calms down. That popcorn note is popping. It is absolutely popping. I cannot believe how strong that is. But this fragrance, as it stands, smells very good. Is it Grand Soir? I will have to reorder a sample of Grand Soir, or go back into the store and try it. Try it on. You're good here. I'm going to give this a stir. Here, let's tear this so we can just make sure if any alcohol burns off, we can replace it. Now, alas, I don't know if all this is going to fit in my 50 milliliter bottle. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you put this together. And if you put this together, remember, put your replacements, your substitutions in the comments. Let everyone know how it went. And I'll see you next time.